Well, hello, everybody. I'm just move my mic a bit closer. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Professional Witches. And today I am so excited. I'm always very excited because I have amazing guests on, but I've got the one and only Vicki Chisholm. And, she's just incredible. And I kind of think that the conversation we have today is going to speak for itself. Vicki and I are very much on the same mission. I think all of the witches here on this podcast are on this mission, but yeah, we're both business psychic, we're into alignment, but she is the alignment witch. And so welcome, Vicki, to the show.
Hello, and thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you on. I really, really am. And from the conversations we've had in the run up to this, I just know there's going to be some really special things that come out of this conversation. And we don't know what, do we? But
No.
we never do. But it's always really cool. So you are the alignment witch. Tell the listeners why that is. What is your whole thing with alignment?
I suppose because I've fought for most of my life against myself and paid quite negatively for that. So there was lots of different aspects to it, I suppose, but it wasn't something that I've chosen. It was something that has just become. So I had to look back to when I first started really opening up and expanding about energy, connection, truth, soul. And when I came into the energetic space of learning how to navigate energy, what it is, how it makes us feel, how it controls us, how it disempowers us, how it elevates us, I just kept coming back to the same thing. But what does alignment mean for me?
Mm.
And the wind has decided to pick up and
Of
throw
course.
my curtain. So
Well,
there we
it's
go.
the elemental forces coming in to give the energy boost to this conversation.
Absolutely. And make sure that I'm speaking in alignment, of course.
Absolutely. Well, we did have the Queen of Swords come out in a little pre-conversation card pull there. So,
Yes. The Queen of Swords is me. That is my character. It's who I am. I come in my sword of truth and
mhm.
I just do my thing. A lot of people get disempowered by it. Now it's really interesting. I've had no wind all morning
No,
and the
but you
wind's
look
coming in
gorgeous
fast
with
and
the
furious.
wind blowing through your hair. It's a spectacular sight. If you're listening to this on Spotify, hop over to YouTube and catch this episode because Vicki looks like she's in a hair commercial right now.
I'm just going to shut my
Vision
window, I
board
think. Give me
is
2 seconds. Yeah, so obviously what I'm saying is coming through with some energetic vibes there of empowerment, and that the stronger there because the wind's coming at me going, yes, yes, love, this is where we're going, this is where we're going. So I had to look at what does alignment mean for me. And then ultimately, as I started to look, I was like, I haven't got a freaking clue. I don't know. I thought I was in alignment when I was running my VA business because I was so passionate about it and I absolutely loved doing it, but I was not in alignment at all. Even my business coach was like, Vicki, I can't believe you weren't in alignment with that business because you thrived within it and you were so wonderful. And I'm like, I wasn't in alignment for my soul's core being.
not what you were
I
here
was in
for.
alignment in that moment to be of service because it was the only thing I could do in that moment. And it gave me a different focus point. It gave me the learning curve that I needed.
Yeah, I really relate
So
to this because my previous business was web design, which I was really good at and I was very successful at, but it wasn't my thing, but it was like my like almost like my sort of university of like how to run a business and came into, and I'm sure we'll get to this part of your story, like what I'm here for, but that was like part of the path, you know? Is
yeah,
that is that
it is.
something yeah.
It's completely part of the path. And without it, who are we?
Hmm.
Without that path, who are we? And Some people take a lot longer to get into the path of radical alignment. And that's kind of where my journey as a spiritual coach is right now, is about trying to collapse that sticky time and actually move you faster into the realms of alignment by simply opening, expanding the mind.
Yeah.
What does alignment look like? How does it feel? And it's not specific to everybody as a global, universal thing. It's individual and it's unique. So every single person has their own path of alignment that they need to uncover. And there's so many aspects to alignment that we haven't, that just isn't spoken about. And even on the online spiritual space, even in the witching communities, it's not spoken about. And for you to step into alignment, you have to understand what that means for you.
Yeah.
So when you're working towards something, you're going, yeah, this feels really great. It feels really aligned. It might feel really aligned because you're about to learn the lesson that's going to take you further into your alignment.
Yeah.
So you have to understand, connect, and trust in your own journey.
Yeah.
What I explore in terms of alignment, this is where the juicy bit really comes alive, is when my clients come to me and they're like, my business isn't working. I've got all this stuff and I love what I'm doing here and I love what I'm doing there and I love this and I love that. And I'm like, okay, I'll tell you why it's not working, because it's not in alignment. And they look at me and they go, yes, it is. How dare you say it's not in alignment? And I'm like, well, actually, it isn't, because if it was in alignment, it'd be easy. If it was in alignment, it would be working. If it was in alignment, you'd be creative. But the fact is you're not. So there is something missing within this. Now I'm going down a rabbit hole. Stay with me. Just stay with me, because this is the reason.
No, I'm totally with you. And I've got so many comments to make about what you're saying, but I'm going to try and interrupt too much.
Right. So this is where it gets really juicy, right? So you're in misalignment because there's something missing in the business. There's something missing in the offer suite. There's something missing in the pricing. There's something missing in the content strategy. There's something missing in the sales process, the sales strategies. Could be a strategy, could be an actual thing within the business that you haven't quite pieced together yet, because running a business is like putting together a jigsaw puzzle, right? You're constantly maneuvering pieces around to see what fits where and what's going to work. But then we've got the other aspect of it. Is it misalignment or is it resistance?
And that was one of the things that came to me. Maybe the business idea is the alignment piece, is the bit that's working, but maybe there's something in the person that's misaligned. Maybe they're not really fully, I don't know. When I say aligned in that sense, it's like they haven't really owned it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So one of the things that I've crafted as part of my trainings, my deliverables, my keynote speaking is the dangers of misalignment and the power of resistance. So here are some key takeaways that you can learn today to help you know when you're in alignment, when you're in resistance, and when you're battling the fuck out of both, right? Misalignment is very simple. It's a deep cognizant knowing that something is missing. When you are in resistance, you are storytelling. If you are storytelling, we've got work to do. If you are in misalignment, something's missing. We've got discovery and curiosity to unpick.
So what do you mean by storytelling exactly? Is this like the story I'm telling myself is this isn't working because?
It's all of the stories, literally all of them. I'm not going to achieve that because this isn't working, because you've gone into shame and blame. You've gone into systems and tech and people and coaches and programs and systems. That's never going to work for me. You're bringing up past traumas. You're bringing up past experiences. All of that is resistance, and that is just the ego trying to keep you safe from where you're going to go. So that is not misalignment. That is completely different energy. And actually, that's the deeper energy that we need to shift out. So then someone said to me recently, as I was sharing this very simplified way of differentiating the two, and they said, but can you be both? And I'm like, yes, of course you can. But how do you know that? That's your journey to unpick.
So I
You
mean,
grab a journal.
it's our individual journey, and it's going to be a different answer for everyone. But generally, I mean, how do you know the difference? I mean, obviously we're tapping into our intuition into this slightly as well. But if somebody's sitting there thinking, well, my business isn't working, but it feels right, but it's not working, how do I know whether this is misalignment or storytelling? What are sort of some key points that people can recognize to know which one they're dealing with?
Okay, so if we're talking about energetics, we can talk about emotion.
Mhm,
When you're sitting there and going, but I really love this business, I've just got this feeling like I'm missing something. I've
mhm,
just got this feeling like I can't quite put my finger on what it is I'm missing.
mhm,
Or you've got that moment of scratching the head, like I'm trying to think of what it is I need to do to get this to kind of fit.
mhm.
That's when you know you're misaligned, because there is something in there that's not fitting, it's not working, it's not, you just pulling your hair out. You know, like when you're trying to do tech stuff and then you have to walk away from it and come back to it and then it works.
Yeah,
It's that time.
because that's the
When
energetics I find when I'm sort of in any kind of funky energy for like any kind of, I have to be totally clear. Otherwise, like my Zoom won't even work, as you've experienced. Um, yeah, you've got to be like, okay, this is the thing. And then yeah, so tech,
so
yes.
tech is one of them.
Hmm.
Um, But if we move further into the resistance side of things, being really specific, how does resistance show up for you? Now, here are some ways that resistance will show up for me.
Hmm.
I will procrastinate. I will
Hmm.
procrastinate.
Hmm.
I will tell myself I'm not good enough. I will tell myself that there's no point in me even trying to do this. I'll go into the what's the point energy and I'll just distract myself with lots of other amazing shiny object syndrome moments. I will struggle to take the first step. So, for example, I had to write some content for one of my programs, and the program was fine. Everything about the program is just magnified and it's brilliant and it's wonderful.
Hmm.
Could I write the bloody content to actually get out there and market it?
It's interesting
No.
because this is the space I'm in right now. I've got
Okay.
a program I want to launch, and I've written down all the ideas. I've just got to get on the computer and do it. And am I doing that?
Mm.
Thankfully, I've got time to do it. But yeah, I need to know what how do you get into that place where you can actually do it? So this is the resistance piece, right? This is when we're talking resistance. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, how do we get through? We work with Vicki and she will help us through it. But
Well, no, I want to help you now. I want to help
cool.
you now. I want to do it in the moment, right?
Right,
So,
demonstrate what you do.
okay, let's do the demonstration. Okay. So we're going to use you as a guinea pig now because you've just brought it to the table. But we're going to
Wonderful.
share the little bit of the story that I had first. So I have got the program, it's raring to go. I've even had other people overview the program. We've put people through a beta on the program. We've ironed out the kinks. We know exactly what's going to work. We know exactly what's not going to work. Could I get the content out there? Could I? Absolutely, Scooby Doo do.
Hmm.
So this is when we go, okay, what is the resistance trying to protect me from? So
Hmm.
we tune into the body. We ask the body now. We're going to connect with the body, connect with the subconscious. We're asking you to step forward. We're asking you to come alive and work with me now. What is it I'm really afraid of?
Wow. So the big piece that comes up for me, this is actually the second group program I've done. The first one, it was great, but I had one person in particular who then caused trouble for other people as well.
Mm-hmm,
And I'm afraid of attracting another person like that. If I
mm-hmm.
put it out there and I fill my group, what if one of these people turns out to be like that again?
Okay. So as you're talking to me about that, I can feel it. I can feel the energy behind it. I can feel It's overwhelming, but it's not crucifying. The energy is there, but I don't really know how to navigate this particular energy because there's emotional charge with it, right?
I can
So this
feel
is
it
where,
here as I talk
yeah,
about it. Yeah, it's solar plexus.
that's where
It's
I'm
like she
feeling it for
stole my
you.
strength in a lot of ways.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
this is actually not about you as an individual. This is about you as a business owner. This
Hmm.
is about you being able to navigate that space again and trusting that you have resources, you have terms and conditions, you have contracts, you have confidentiality, and in your terms and conditions and in your contracts, you have a no bullshit policy.
Hmm.
If you X, Y, and Z behavior wise, you will be immediately removed from the program without reimbursement.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a terms and conditions thing.
Hmm.
However, because you have got the energy inside of this, the chances are you're going to attract another situation because you haven't healed from the first one. So
Hmm.
what we would do is we would actually go into the energy. So if you're open to doing a little bit of work with me now,
Go for it. I am an open book. Absolutely.
okay, great.
A little sip of tea to prepare myself.
Yeah, I was just looking at that actually. Okay, so I'm just having a look. Right. So what we do is we tap into the energy now and go, okay, I've had this experience. This experience has created an energy within me. This energy is now emotionally charged, which shows that I am attached to this energy now. How
Hmm.
would I like to remove that energy from me so I can forgive myself and the situation and the energy and give myself freedom? So one of the quickest ways that you can do this, depending on how easy you let go, is through Ho'oponopono with EFT.
Hmm.
So to help us get there, what we want to do is we want to go deeper into that energetic vibe. So for you, Fiona, we're going to go all the way into the solar plexus. We're going to unravel the solar plexus and see exactly what this energy is. So I'm going to ask you to connect with the energy and ask the color. So subconscious, please help me to connect to this energy now and tell me the color of this energy that's presented itself.
So it's attached to the solar plexus. It's kind of a yellow, but it's like more like a diarrhea yellow,
Okay.
like very much a shit color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. So with this energy color, what shape is it?
It's amorphous, really. It's kind of like a blob that's kind of,
Okay, so it's fluid, which means it's movable. Fantastic.
yeah.
So with this energy that is in the solar plexus, if you were to touch it, what would it feel like? Would it be hard? Would it be soft? Would it be rough? Would it be smooth? Would it be
Gee, it's
sharp?
literally like there's shit on my solar plexus.
Okie dokie. So this shit on your solar plexus, what benefits are you getting from holding on to that?
None whatsoever. It just,
Okay,
no benefits.
brilliant. So then we want to ask this energy, as it's not your energy, does it belong to the other person, or is it just something that's been picked up along the way?
No, it totally belongs to the other person.
Okay, so this yellow shit, do you want to give it back to the other person so that they take ownership and radical responsibility for who they are, or do you want to lovingly release it into the universe to be transmuted?
I feel that it is part of her journey and for the benefit of mankind generally that she takes it back to deal with. It's got to be in her lessons to learn.
Brilliant.
I mean that with all love because I hold no resentment against this person
That's
whatsoever.
absolutely fine, not a problem. So what we do is we just start tapping on the collarbone. Now that you're tuned in, now that you've got specific, now that you know exactly what this energy is, you're able to then send this energy back to the person with the love that is intended using the Ho'oponopono. So you're going to visualize bringing this energy out of your solar plexus, out of your energetic being, and releasing it into the universe, sending it back into the direction that it needs to go in. And at the same time, tapping on the collarbone and just repeating the Ho'oponopono and allow that visualization to occur. So repeating the Ho'oponopono prayer, which is, I am sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And we repeat that 6 more times. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I'm
I'm
sorry.
please
Please
forgive.
forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm
I'm
sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I
I love.
love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And two more times. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And one more time. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Allowing yourself to breathe deeply, gently and lovingly letting go. Just clearing out the energetics, clearing out the vibration connection and releasing it. This is one way that you get to reclaim your power. So Fiona, tap into that energy in your solar plexus for me now. Is there anything left? Was it easy to let go of? Are you
It,
still stubbornly holding on to it?
no, it really was because I wanted to let go of it. I was aware of it, but energetically it was clinging on. I felt it kind of rising up through my heart chakra and out through my throat chakra, and lifting. I feel a lot lighter. I feel like there's like a little bit left. It's almost like a seed.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if we're still calling it shit, because it was. You know, you get a little lump sometimes in your diarrhea. It's like a little teeny bit left. I feel
Mm.
that is guilt from me, knowing that I did my best for her, but feeling somehow that I failed her.
Okay, self-responsibility guilt. Okay.
Mm.
Okay. So if you could tune into that energy of self-responsibility guilt, and let's just have a conversation with it. What benefits do I get from holding on to you? How does it serve me in this moment?
I feel like there were lessons in it. I mean, holding on to it as a barrier is not helpful, clearly, but I feel like there are still lessons, and I feel like there were definitely things I did I could have done better. I wasn't brave enough in my communications. I over delivered uh, repeatedly. I think I trained her into relying on me too much rather than taking responsibility for herself.
Okay.
Um, because I'm this chronic people pleaser, and I want everyone to succeed. And so when she would send me a voice message late at night in tears, I would jump on a call with her. And my boundaries were not firm. That professional boundary was not firm. And so, yeah, I feel like I allowed the situation quite a lot. So the
Okay.
lessons are in there for me, which is why that little bit remains. Um,
Okay, so now that we have that insight, there's two ways that we can move forward with it. We can have that insight and keep it to constantly punish yourself for the lessons that you've learned, or we can look at the insight and say, thank you so much for the teachings that I gained from this. I lovingly allow myself to move forward. Now, I've been in a similar situation myself where I did something very similar. I had a course, it was amazing. Some of the people got some amazing results from it, but there was one person that actually kind of pulled the other people down.
mm,
And I gave one-to-one sessions. I really tried my best to help them. I wanted them to succeed more than they wanted it for themselves. At
exactly.
which point I had to then go down this path. But now, who are you with the knowledge that you have now? So I want you to tap into that part of you. Who are
Mm.
you now in comparison to who you were in that moment?
I'm much my boundaries after that incident, I did a ton of work around boundaries because I identified that my boundaries were a problem. Um, I am much more so. I undercharged for that course completely anyway, and I think that attracted the kind of person who would not necessarily take the responsibility in that sense. So I attracted a certain energetic. So this time I'm charging a more reasonable rate, and my payment plans are going to be much more rigid. Yeah, I don't want to say like harsher. It's just energetically more aligned. Does that make sense? So I gave too much. I gave the option of paying too little over too long a time, which then, yeah,
As we've all been there. Goodness me.
absolutely. And I think every single coach who's reached a certain point in their business has, which is why I think this is going to be so useful for so many people.
Completely. Yeah. I know so many that are going to relate to everything we've just said. So
Absolutely.
what I don't want to do is I don't want you to leave with that little nugget still inside you, ruling you.
No.
We've got to find a way for you to release that. So if you could do the Ho'oponopono again, just on that little bit, whilst tapping and giving yourself the compassion that you've learned the lessons, you don't need to consistently punish yourself for the rest of your life for having one experience that knocked your confidence and set you aside from serving more people. So and that's what it's doing, isn't it? I mean, I went through a period where I actually even considered just giving up my business based on one person. One person, like because of one person, I was
when you put it in that context, I mean, I have helped so many people who've got wonderful things to say about me, who are aligned, who are the kind of vibration of people that I want to help, who can really take ownership for their journey. And this one person who didn't take ownership and blamed all of the failures on me, even though she's actually not experienced, well, last I checked, I had to block her on everything, but last I checked, she was actually doing quite well.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was as a result of the course that she did with me. So
exactly, yes. I had exactly the same thing where someone said, oh, but I don't feel like I've done anything with you, and I don't feel like, I don't feel like we've achieved what I wanted to achieve. I'm like, okay, but have you given it any integration time? No. Have you done what I suggested you do? A lot of it she hadn't, but a lot of my clients will get instant results. But then some of my clients will get results after we've worked together because they need that integration time to do it on their own as well. So one of my clients created this metaphor and they were like, working with you is a bit like learning to ride a motorbike.
Well, it's interesting because I do have my motorbike license, and you've got your motorbike license too. I noticed.
Yes, I ride a Fireblade.
Yeah.
But one of them says, and I was like, oh, okay, explain this to me, because now this is juicy conversation. Explain it. And they're like, well, you kind of hold my hand through the whole process, and then you kind of let go, and I have to do it on my own. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly it.
And that's the point.
Yeah, I'm not here. I don't want to teach people to be dependent on me. That's not my job. That's not my role. My job is to help you find the power in yourself so you don't need to be codependent. You don't need to be reliable. Yes, you can ask for help. Yes, you can step in and go, right, help me, please, because actually right now I really would love some help. But then you're going to be able to reignite your own independent stuff again. So I'm going to go down a rabbit hole and I don't want to right now. I want to come back to that little thing that you're avoiding letting go of because we keep changing topics.
No, it's all right because this is procrastinating over
it is, yeah.
But also it's feeling uncomfortable. I can actually physically feel this little spot of shit right here now. But and the interesting thing about letting this one go, the other blob of shit was to send back to the person concerned. This little blob of shit is mine.
Yes, of course it is. It's your self-responsibility. You're holding on to the guilt of your self-responsibility. You felt guilty because you couldn't help someone in the way that you wanted to help them because they weren't ready to help themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You're holding on to this energy of guilt that's going to stop you from moving forward when actually you've learnt the lesson.
Mm.
So it's time to evolve and let it go. So what do I do with my clients when we do this? We go to the resistance. What's going to happen if you let it go? What's the worst case scenario if you let it go?
Well, I would like to say that I would forget the lesson, but I don't think I would. I wouldn't forget the lesson, but I got to let go of the guilt around it. My apologies. Repeat the question because I feel like my brain wandered onto something else.
Your
And
brain has decided that it really wants to avoid this situation right now. So how about we do a little bit of EFT to see if we can just release some of the resistance? Are you open to that?
open to anything. If you can move
Okay,
it
so
out of
for
my
anyone,
body, I'll do whatever you ask of me. Seriously.
oh, you're so submissive.
I am. No, I love this because I really want to, because people really get to see how you do your thing and work your
Yeah,
magic. And I'm getting tingles at this because I feel like this is going to help so many people. So yeah, I'm here for it.
it is.
Mm-hmm.
So for those that are watching, listening, and everything else, if you're driving, please take self-responsibility. I do not take any responsibility for anybody that taps along with me today. You are taking complete ownership by participating.
If you're driving, don't tap. Either pull over or pause this, come back to it at a later time, whatever. But yeah, don't go into the zone if you're driving or operating forklift trucks or anything like that, basically.
Yeah,
I'm doing a great job of procrastinating over letting this go, aren't I?
you really are. You're really holding. And actually, what's really interesting is your connection to me has gone quite fluffy over the internet. So I'm going to ask you to ask whatever the resistance is to step aside and allow this healing to take place. I'm reclaiming my power now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I choose to reclaim my power in this moment. I choose to release the energetics that are blocking me. And I choose to know that I do not have to suffer. I do not have to be in this victim state anymore. I do not want this energy in my being.
All of that. Totally. Completely.
And then we're going to go into EFT, emotional freedom technique, energy psychology, which is a Chinese acupressure using the head, face, and body with the thoughts in your mind to help you release the energies that have got stuck. So for anyone else that's feeling resistant, for anyone else that's feeling guilty, for anyone else that's feeling like they're taking on responsibility of other people's journey, this is the tapping for you. We're going to do it together. Just by starting tapping on the side of the hand, we're going to do a setup point. Even though
If you're on the left hand or right hand, or does it not matter?
any hand you want,
Okay.
any hand you want.
Right. Okay. Even though
I have all this resistance.
Even though I have all this resistance.
Resistance to showing up.
Resistance to showing up.
Resistance to letting go.
Resistance to letting go.
Resistance to being aware.
Resistance to being aware.
Resistance to seeing.
Resistance to seeing.
Resistance to being.
Resistance to being.
I choose to deeply and completely
I choose to deeply and completely
acknowledge this energy that's showing up.
acknowledge this energy that's showing up.
So as you're tapping on the side of the hand, stay tuning into that energy of resistance. But I need to kind of direct this slightly. So Fiona and I have had a couple of conversations now, and every time we have this conversation, something is happening in the room. And it's just happened. I asked Fiona to say seeing, and it all went burbly at me. Sounded like an alien was coming through the Zoom. So I think what we've got is resistance to being seen, which is being held on by the guilt. And I think this is something we need to work on today. So I'm going to direct us into that state if you're open to that, Fiona.
Totally. It went tingles all up my spine as you said that. So this is clearly what needs to happen. Yeah.
Even though.
Even though.
I am resisting letting go.
I am resisting letting go.
I don't want to be seen.
I don't want to be seen.
And by holding on to this guilt,
And by holding on to this guilt,
I won't be seen.
I won't be seen.
I get to hide.
I get to hide.
I get to procrastinate.
I get to procrastinate.
I get to play small.
I get to play small.
And I choose to deeply and completely
I choose to deeply and completely
love, honor, and accept myself,
love, honor, and accept myself,
even though
even though
there is this, I'm going to say it's like a small, tiny rock of resistance
there is this small, tiny rock of resistance.
filled with guilt.
Repeat that, sorry.
It's filled with guilt
It's filled with guilt
and self-responsibility
and self-responsibility
and not wanting to be seen.
and not wanting to be seen.
So, of course, I can't let it go.
Of course, I can't let it go.
I choose to deeply and completely
I choose to deeply and completely
open to the possibility
open to the possibility
that being seen
that being seen
is in fact safe.
is in fact safe.
Eyebrow. This energy,
This energy,
side of the eye, this energy
this energy
under the eye has served so much purpose in my life.
has served so much purpose in my life,
Under the nose, even though it's filled with resistance.
even though it's filled with resistance.
Even though it's filled with resistance.
Even though it's filled with resistance
Collarbone and guilt
and guilt
under the arm. But it's also a fear of being seen.
fear of being seen.
It brings up anxiety of being seen.
That brings up anxiety of being seen.
It brings up fear.
Brings up fear.
Next finger. It brings up anger and frustration.
It brings up anger and frustration.
Next finger. It brings up sadness.
It brings up sadness.
Next finger. And it makes me aware of the need to control.
It makes me aware of the need to control.
Top of the head. This energy.
This energy.
Eyebrow. This resistance.
This resistance.
Side of the eye. I've become very attached to it.
I've become very attached to it.
Under the eye. It's like my little cocoon of safety.
It's like my little cocoon of safety.
Under the nose. It's not very comfortable though.
It's not very comfortable though.
Chin. I thought comfort blankets were supposed to be comfortable.
I thought comfort blankets were supposed to be comfortable.
Collarbone. This is not comfortable.
This is not comfortable.
Under the arm. And I've held it for long enough.
And I've had it for long enough.
Top of the head. Releasing this energy.
Releasing this energy.
Eyebrow. It's safe for me to be seen.
Safe for me to be seen.
Side of the eye. It's safe for me to let go of the resistance.
It's safe for me to let go of the resistance.
Under the eye. It's safe for me to let go.
It's safe for me to let go.
Under the nose. It's safe for me to let go.
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 And just focusing on your breath as you're tapping across the collarbone. And I want you to tune back into that energy, Fiona, and just tell me what that little rocky stone of energy looks like.
It's kind of faded a bit. It's not as big or sharp, less painful. It's more like a little bit of grit, really.
So as you're tapping on the collarbone, I'd like you to go back to trying some visualization. And one of the things that I quite like to do is bring in a beam of light from the universe. And this beam of light acts like a vacuum. And as you're tapping on the collarbone, you're reclaiming your power and choosing to release that energy, which gives the vacuum from the universe permission to release it from your being. Do you think you can do that?
Completely.
Okay. So as you're tapping on the collarbone, bringing in the beam of light from the universe, this beam of light is acting like a vacuum, and it's going to come in and it's going to suck away any grit, any debris, or anything that's been left behind as you reclaim your power, increase your visibility, trust in yourself to deliver, to continue being of service, and to go out there and have global impact. Allow that energy to rise within. And when you feel like you have completed that, thank your higher self, thank you, thank the universe, and thank the energies from within you that have enabled you to reclaim your power today.
Thank you, universe. Thank you for sucking all of that up.
So the universe will naturally transcend that energy to wherever it needs to go, wherever it needs to be. Too often we get caught up in the holding on to the energies and actually not demanding that it goes and lives somewhere else instead. We don't have to hold it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was incredible. It was it was like, one of those cordless vacuums with the little chamber, which I've got one of those, which is useless when you've got huskies, quite frankly. And yeah, it sucked the gravel, the grit up into it, and I had to hold that until it reached the chamber, because I felt if I let it go too soon, it would come, if you turn the vacuum off, it would come back down. So I was like holding it until it was up into the chamber, and it's there now, and they've gone and emptied it into the bin. So
exciting. Well, I can't wait to see you go out there with your new visibility vibe.
well, I hope this is going
magic.
to launch my podcast into the stratosphere now, because I'm now ready to be seen.
That's it. You are. And actually the energy around you just in the Zoom room at the minute is just, it's almost like it's just shifted. Completely shifted.
Yeah, it feels a lot lighter. I feel
So
like
yeah, I'm so pleased you're feeling lighter. So for anyone that is listening in right now, there is some homework to do with this. And one of those is actually make sure you're journaling on the experience and write about the lessons that you've learned, that you've been able to let go, and then take the piece of paper outside and actually burn it, release it. So you're further cementing the subconscious healing in that moment. So that's one way that you can let it go. But also please make sure you're drinking plenty of water. And if you can, treat yourself to a beautiful salt bath to replenish your body and fill you with magnesium, which will allow you to solidify the healing process that you have just done today.
What if you don't have a bath?
A foot soak.
I've got the magnesium sulfate salts. Yeah. But I don't have a bath right now.
And that's okay. So just do a foot soak. So put a nice bowl of water, pop in your Epsom salt, sit and watch the TV, read a book, listen to music, do a meditation, whatever it is that you want to do. But the Epsom salts just help you to solidify the healing that you're doing, and it replaces the literally, it's almost like replacing the chemicals of the energy that you've just let go of. So it's just a nice way to really be with the integration and allowing the healing to happen the way that it has. Shouldn't we say healing? Energy shift, the energy shift and the frequencies and the vibrations.
Healing is one of those things, isn't it? Healing is happening all the time, whether we kind of like it or not. The body consistently heals itself until we add pollutants and things to it. And the soul does too. But there are obviously things that you can do to accelerate that healing. So yeah, and I'm thinking I'm going to soak my feet while I journal about this.
Perfect. Absolutely.
Not journal in the bath at the end of the day. But my apologies, because I did interrupt you there, and you were in flow. So yes, you were saying.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. I don't think I can remember now. I think I said what I needed to say. It was just more about self-care, really. Just, doing this work is is powerful, and it's hard, and it's frustrating, and it's sometimes like you just want to spit your dummy out the pram and, avoid doing it. But the more you do, the more empowered you'll be. But now, Fiona, I want you to just go back to that moment where you were earlier thinking, oh, I've got to write this content and I'm going to procrastinate around it and everything else. I want you to just tap into that. And I want you to go, how easy is it for me to just sit down and write the content now and get this program out there?
Yeah, I mean, it's really just a couple of hours work. I've got all the notes. I type like a mofo because I used to be a legal secretary, so I can like words a minute. It's not going to take me that long. I've actually set some of it up already. I just need to flower it up with the words and some nice pictures and launch and hold my breath and go through the visibility hangover that Brene Brown talks about so much, vulnerability hangover. Yeah. I feel like this is going to be a really important thing for the people attracted to the course. And
so I think what I was coming at with that there is, do you now feel like you're in alignment with getting the program out there, or do you still feel like there's some resistance that's going to stop you get in the way?
I feel very much aligned with the program. I think the resistance was around that. If I run this program, I think that was the key thing holding me back from running with it. Yeah, I mean, if I really think, is there anything else holding me back? I guess there's a bit of and this is crazy because I used to be a web designer, as you know, and I can get my head around tech, and yet I think it's like the fear of creating systems. I feel like I'm not good enough to do that, or I don't have the technical ability to do that. And in an ideal world, I would outsource it, but I don't have the funds to outsource.
I actually have a system. Sorry to interrupt you, but I actually have a system that I could share with you that would simplify everything.
Well, there you go. Thank you,
and it comes with AI. So I'm going to pop you the details after that. If anybody else is interested, you have to DM me about it. It's on so yeah, I'm not going to say any more about that live. You're just going to have to get in contact with me if you want to know more about the system that I have.
I think everybody listening to this needs to probably have a conversation with you at least, because like, there you go. This is what happens when witches get together. I think it's worth saying, if you've finished tearing my soul into pieces.
I have, yeah. And I've put you all back together again with love and empowerment, so we're good.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't know, really, I genuinely feel very different in a good way from when we started this. So yeah, thank you so much for that. I have to just extend a massive gratitude to you for that. What I was going to say is, yeah, the synchronicities, I think it's just worth telling people about that, the synchronicities, because we originally were going to contact each other just over a year ago, I think it was.
Yeah, it was April 2022, and life just took over, I think.
It did. But you were outside the spa on that first. And then somebody said, you need to get hold of Vicki Chisholm. She'd be great on your podcast. So I messaged you again, and you were sitting outside the spa. Now, just to clarify, are you the kind of woman that's at the spa every week, or was that like the 2 times you've been to the spa? Or
no, so I try and go at least twice a month if I can. It just depends on life, really. I'm a lone parent, so sometimes I have to prioritize other things. But I try to go to the spa every week if I can, but twice a month is like my
minimum,
non-negotiable, so to speak. I mean, just by chance.
Yeah, it just so happens that was the spot that you were at both times that we
sitting in my car outside the spa, almost like having a deja vu 14 months after our first conversation. I was just a bit like, wow, okay, so this is where we're at, this is where we're going. Okay, so we were always meant to connect, but it was just when and how. And And to be realistic, a year ago, would I have been in the same position that I'm in now with my confidence, my new book coming out, my radical alignment that I am launching with?
Podcast to announce to bring you in on at that point either. And I hadn't had that experience. Had I had that experience? I think it was just happening at that point with that client. So I say this, or was that the year before? I don't know. I forget. Anyway, it's divine timing at the end of the day. I think that's yeah, for sure. It's been incredible. So yeah, so I'm just conscious we have been talking for a long, long time. This is one of my longest podcasts, but also one of the most amazing. Tell people about your book and all the things that surround us, because this is like a suite of offerings of yours, isn't it? The book is just a part of it.
It is.
So
well, I hadn't intended it being that way. So I knew I was going to write a book. I knew the chapters that I needed to share. And then I was just going to publish it, let Amazon do its thing, just leave it there. And if anybody asks if I've got a book, just go, yeah, it's over there somewhere. And I wasn't going to do much else with it.
mm-hmm.
As it's got closer and closer, I've just had this oh my gosh, wake up, woman. You can't just write a book and leave it there.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't do that. And I've had epiphany after download after download. And all of a sudden, my whole freaking business dynamic and my whole office suite is just about to change. So this beautiful book, which for those of you watching, listening on the podcast, you're not going to see, but this book is it's so much more than what I envisioned it to be. The feedback that I've had from those that have read it are like, oh my God, this is not just a normal book that you pick up, put to the side, never look at it again. This is a working book to get you into alignment. Why am I so passionate about alignment? Because it makes your life easier. It makes everything you do easier. And this book has now inspired me to completely shut down my existing podcast and start a new one. So my existing podcast, you can go and check it out. It's Tapping into Abundant Success, and it's sharing stories about overcoming adversity, tapping into more, opening your mind for more. But I'm not aligned with that anymore. That's not the vibe that I want to be on.
But that message is still out there for those who need to hear it.
Yeah,
and there
completely.
will absolutely be people that need to hear that on.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere. It's still going to be there, but I'm just not going to be adding new stuff towards it. But obviously I'm going to be doing some tidying up around it. And yeah, but that podcast is there. That was my stepping stone podcast to learn about podcasting. And it took me to over 120,000 downloads in less than 18 months.
Wonderful.
So I've got a lot of respect for that podcast, and the feedback that I've had from it has been absolutely amazing. So I'm not going to diminish it. It's still going to be there, but it's just not my vibe anymore. So I'm bringing a new podcast to the market as a seasoned marketeer podcaster. I know what I'm doing now. So I'm going to use my skills, use my experience. I'm going to launch into Radically Aligned podcast. So keep an eye out for that. I'm also bringing in something new, which I actually can't share in the podcast right now, because it hasn't gone live in my community yet. So those that have joined the waiting list for the book are going to be getting exclusive access to something that I'm bringing alive. Maybe once this goes live, we can leave the links.
Maybe it depends on when I decide, but I had an idea of when I wanted to schedule this, but actually I think I'm going to bump you up the list a bit, because I feel like this is such an important episode. So the key takeaway from that is get on your book waiting list, basically, and that link will be in the show notes.
Yes, I think the key takeaway
I'm on that waiting list, so
I'm excited that you're on the waiting list, and I can't wait to see what's going to come out from it. So what I would love you to do actually is just come and follow me on social media, or check me out on vickichisholm.com. Find me, come and connect with me. Let me know you've listened to this podcast. Let me know the nuggets that you've taken away, and I will be able to guide you towards the big thing that I'm about to launch and bring into magic, because my office suite's changing to be in alignment with the book and everything else that's happening. And obviously there'll be a new podcast. So Fiona's going to come on my podcast to get it kickstarted as well. So that's going to be really exciting. And so yeah, can't wait. I hope whoever's listened today, whoever's tuned in, you've managed to tap in, follow along with the energy healing with us, do some work around resistance. You now understand the dangers of misalignment, the power of resistance. You know that misalignment means something's missing and you're going to get curious and you're just trying to find the puzzle piece to make it work. And you know that resistance is the inner fear, it's the storytelling, it's the ego, it's the procrastination and all of that stuff. So you can now combine it.
It's also a sign that actually this is the thing that you need to do, because when you're feeling that resistance and yet you still are like drawn to doing it, like that's some fucked up shit right there. It means you need to do it, basically. You need to do it, but you're feeling resistance. So why are you doing it? But you still want to do it. The cognitive dissonance is real in that scenario. So yeah, it has to happen.
When you're in that state of mind, though, there's two things that I go to. One is face the fear and fucking do it anyway. And two is Mel Robbins, The Power of Now. Okay, fine. I'm feeling the resistance, but 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. Stop thinking about it. Just do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just crack the fuck on and do it. Just do what you say you will do, what you said you would do, and you will have a much greater belief and trust in yourself as well. And it feels so good to do that and to launch something and then to get people that go, yeah, I want that.
Yeah,
that is like, that's what I live for, you know. That's the kind of, yeah. And then seeing the transformation, because this is why we do all of this, it's to make people's lives better. And yeah, we're totally on that mission. So what I want to leave people with is, like, if you want people to take nothing else away from this, like, what words of wisdom? They're sitting here thinking, this is great, but I'm so confused by all of this. But give me some wisdom, Vicky. What is your, like, arrow to the heart message for the listeners?
So I've just had to ask to channel the message that needs to be heard. The message that needs to be heard today is you only get one fucking life. So stop wasting it fucking around and step into alignment and do what you were here to do.
Learn the lessons that you're here for.
Yeah, it's not always about learning the lessons, though. Sometimes it's just about acknowledging, okay, that didn't work. Let's move forward. Okay, I learned a lesson there. Great, let's move forward. And it's about the detachment, actually, rather than the staying in it. And this is something that I do see a lot in the spiritual world. Oh, but I've got to feel every inch of this pain and struggle before I can move through it. And sometimes it's like, actually, no, you just need to acknowledge what you're experiencing and then you can move through it. And if you could
like you did, is like have that conversation with it. Is there a reason it thinks it's doing you a favor? You know it's not, but what's it got to say? And then let it go. Yeah.
Completely.
Beautiful.
Completely. Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you so much for all the nuggets that we've shared, for hosting the space, for letting me to come in and work me magic with you.
Brilliant. Well, it's been transformational for me. I can't even speak. I'm sure it has been for many, many people listening to this as well. And I'm really looking forward to coming onto your podcast too. And for now, if people have enjoyed this conversation, please like the channel, subscribe, leave a comment with your biggest takeaway, and I will see you next time for another amazing professional witch. Thank you very much. Thanks, Vicky.
Thank you. Bye-bye.